So this is the new grammar that we're going to study today. This structure is similar to a passive. So if you remember the passive, you use the passive when you don't know or you don't want to mention the person who does an action. So in the passive, we have, for example, my father gives me a book. Okay, so when you transform this sentence into the passive, the agent, the person who does the action, is not really important anymore, and the person who receives the action is, or the thing that is part of the action, is what gets the focus. So my father gives me a book is given to me by my father. Okay, so that by my father is not really important, or it doesn't get the focus of the action. Well, have something done is a similar structure to a passive. The main difference is that instead of having the auxiliary verb be, we're going to have the auxiliary verb have. But actually, have is not an auxiliary verb. We're going to see that in a minute. So before we continue, a couple of examples of have something done can be, I'm having my hair cut tomorrow. We don't really know who is going to cut your hair. So the important thing is that you are going to, the focus is on the action. I'm having my hair cut tomorrow, and that action is not performed by yourself. Someone else is going to do it. Or she has her house repainted every year. Someone repaints her house, not herself. We've had a new bathroom put in. So someone put in the bathroom, the new bathroom. Not ourselves. I paid someone to do it, etc. Okay, so the first thing that we need to mention is that we need the auxiliary verb have, which is not an auxiliary. So this is kind of a contradiction, but it's not. You'll see that in a minute. The object and the past participle of the main verb. Okay, so and as I told you before, the use of this structure is when we arrange and pay someone to do something for us. Okay. Compare. I cleaned my car yesterday. I did it myself. I had my car cleaned yesterday. That means that I paid someone to clean it for me. So as you can see in the graphic, I cleaned my car yesterday. So we can see someone cleaning his car. I had my car cleaned yesterday. We see someone looking at other people cleaning his car. Okay. So that's the main difference. As you can see, the have is again the auxiliary verb, which is not an auxiliary. The object must be present, and the past participle, which is the action which is performed. Okay, so I said that have is an auxiliary verb, but it's not an auxiliary verb. That's a contradiction. So this is the explanation. Have is a main verb in this kind of sentence. So it's stressed, which means that you cannot contract it. So contractions are not possible here. And we need an auxiliary verb for questions. We need do or does or did or have if it's the present perfect or whatever auxiliary verb. So have, as I told you, is kind of the equivalent to the auxiliary verb in a passive, but in this case it's not an auxiliary verb, it's a full verb. Okay, so how often do you have your car serviced? Do you have, not how often have you your car serviced. That's wrong. How often do you have your car serviced? Or negative, I don't have the flat cleaned. So don't is the auxiliary that you need. In the past, the flat was in good condition, so we didn't have it redecorated. We didn't. You need the auxiliary. So we hadn't it redecorated would be wrong. Or when did you have those photos taken? And did is necessary too. So when had you those photos taken is wrong. Okay? When did you have? So have, those photos would be the something in blue, and taken is the past participle. So As I told you at the beginning, I was trying to make some kind of analogy with the passive. And actually, this is a passive structure. And a proof of this is that that you use an agent. If you want to mention who did the action, like in the passive, you need an agent, and that agent is introduced with a preposition. And the preposition is by, like in the passive. So we had our wedding photos taken by, and then you mention the agent, by the same photographer you used. Or I had the central heating checked by British Gas. So just to summarize, have something done is a similar structure to a passive. Instead of be, we're going to use have, but have is not really an auxiliary verb. Have is a full verb, which means that you need to use an auxiliary in questions and in negatives. The structure is have, the conjugation of have, has, don't have, doesn't have, didn't have, etc., plus the object, plus the past participle of the main verb. So in I'm having my haircut tomorrow, I have conjugated in the present continuous, I'm having. My hair, that's the object. Cut, cut is the participle of cut, and in this case is the same. Or she has her house repainted every year. In this case, we don't need an auxiliary. So she has her house repainted every year. Has is the introductory verb of the, let's say the quasi-auxiliary verb. Her house, the object, and repainted, the past participle. Now, because have in this case is a full verb, you can't have something like she's her house repainted, because you cannot contract it. Okay, now, if we go to page 163, you can see some things that you get done at the hairdressers, and we use have something done here. For example, you have your hair curled, me rizan el pelo. You have your hair cut, me cortan el pelo. You have your hair dyed, me tiñen el pelo. You have your hair put up, me arreglan el pelo. You have your hair straightened, me alisan el pelo. Okay? And in Spanish, we don't use that kind of structure. In Spanish, we say me ricé el pelo, me teñí el pelo, and actually it's someone else who did it for you. Okay? So you need to take this into account. We don't have this structure in Spanish, sorry, and you need to rethink the way that you express these kind of actions. Okay, so don't just I cut my hair. If you say I cut my hair, that means that I do it myself, and that's it. It was a very long video, longer than I thought.